Right, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m, Enzo Maresca's Chelsea side make the trip to Switzerland for the second leg of our Europa Conference League group stage playoff tie. My God, that is a mouthful, against Servette. Last time out at Stamford Bridge, we ran out 2-0 winners, but it was said that in that game, we did flatter to deceive. But how much can change in a week? Because the vibes around Chelsea Football Club at this moment in time are now sky high. But what I do believe is if one good day at the office can make you feel brilliant, then one bad day at the office can very much do the exact opposite. And that is why, despite the fact that we do not technically need to win the game to progress, I think that winning this game is very, very important. Because I think that momentum is everything in sport. And for a young side, despite one or two more senior and established additions that have come in recent weeks, does still lack experience, I really do think that confidence levels can either make or break our season. There was a point against Wolves when the game drew level at 2-2, and I was worried. If I'm completely honest, I was looking at it and I was thinking, do these boys have the mental strength to be able to roll their sleeves up, show the experience, show the character, and be able to get through this test? And ultimately, we passed that test with flying colours, didn't we? But I do think that the free-flowing, counter-attacking, mouth-watering football that we saw in that second half against Wolves all came from the C word. Not that C word, you dirty bunch. Confidence. That C word. And if we're to go into the game on Sunday against Crystal Palace and play in a similar way to how we played against Wolves, then I do believe that we need to avoid having a negative result and, more importantly, a negative performance in this match. So in this video, we are going to speak about the approach to this game. As always, I am going to give you lot my starting 11 pick, which was really, really hard for me to come up with, and I will give you a score prediction. But people, before we get into all that, welcome back to the Joey Night Podcast. If you are new around here, please do me a massive favour, hit the subscribe button. I was trying to get to 100,000 followers. We've gone well over that now, and you lot are hitting that subscribe button time in, time out. I'm seeing it on the analytics page. I absolutely love it. I'll tell you what else I'd love, if you smashed the like button right now. Let's get into the video. So I spoke about the positive wave that Chelsea are riding right now, and I do believe that if something's not broke, then you don't fix it, and that really makes me not want to tinker with the squad here at all. But at the same time as that, Thursdays and Sundays are a tough old slog, and for the moment, when you look at the injury record of our team, especially last season, it does make me hesitant to just go, oh, okay, well, we just filled the exact same starting lineup, and that's why I'm not going to be able to do that, you know. Say, for example, do we fly home straight away after the game against Sevette? I'm not sure if we do, you know. I think we might even be flying home the following day, and then what does that give you? 1 day of rest, I suppose. If we were to fly home on the Friday, you probably wouldn't train that day. You'd maybe go into Cobham on Saturday. Do you really want to be training the day before a game? I don't know. So that means that obviously, again, like I did last time out, when I picked my starting lineup, I've got to do it with Crystal Palace on Sunday in mind. Now, there are so many positives to take away from the 6-2 win against Wolves, but I think we would be riding on fumes here if we ignored the fact that there were negatives, or at least areas that still needed addressing. And I think defensively, we still need to improve. And ultimately, I think that improving that defensive understanding will just come from minutes accumulated on the pitch with one another. And I think that if we're going with a centre-back two of Fofana and Levi Colwell, then obviously we need to have them in the team at the same time. But at this moment in time, can they do Thursday, Sunday together? Colwell might be able to. He came with his injury problems last season, but would it be foolish to rush Wesley Fofana into doing that when he missed the entire season last time out through injury. And also, we look at this match and we look at the fact that Tosin Adarabioyo was very impressive in the first leg, in my opinion, against Sevette. So it gives us some real question marks. And these question marks are really, really baffling me here, because when it came to building my starting 11 for this match, I was so conflicted. More conflicted than I've probably ever been with building a starting 11 for a Chelsea match before. And although this is my preferred lineup rather than my predicted lineup, I would be shocked if Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana started this match together, you know. And when you look at the fact that Enzo Maresca basically has 2 starting 11s that he's able to work with at the moment, I'm not including the players that are exiled and training away from the first team. I'm saying in that first team squad that he's working with at the moment, he's got 2 starting 11s. You can look at it 2 ways, can't you? You could say, okay, well, that's really beneficial. You've got so many good players. But the cynics out there would say, well, hold on, you're going to have players that are frustrated that they're not starting, frustrated that they're not getting the amount of minutes that they should be, and the amount of rotation means that they're going to find it very, very hard to gel together. However, if it does click, like it did in the second half against Wolves the other day, you could look at it completely different, and you could say that Chelsea have got probably the best strength in depth in the entire Premier League, and we've got 2 starting 11s that could rock up to teams and roll them over. And not only that, we've got players that we can bring off the bench that can completely flip a game on its head. And when you take all of this into account, it just makes me so torn about how to go with a team sheet for this game, you know. When we're in the Champions League, for example, right, you might play Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Sunday. Worst case, you might play Wednesday, Saturday. And in comparison to Thursday, Sunday, that gives you an extra day of rest. And when we look at Chelsea's injury record, hopefully it doesn't happen again this season. It can't be as bad this season as it was last season. But when you do look at that injury record, you'd be hesitant to then start the likes, for example, of Romeo Lavia. We know that his injury was a minor issue. Apparently, he posted on his story and said, I'll be back a lot sooner than people think. It's fine. So you could look at that and you could go, okay, well, maybe we give him a run out. But I think he's a really important player for us. So I'm just saying, I'm so torn. You know, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to go deep in this competition. Are we going to make an exclusive rule here that a player that starts or plays a full 90 on the Sunday can't then do it on the Thursday? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not... It just doesn't seem like it would work, does it? So, again, by the way, I haven't got the answers here. I'm literally speaking out loud and asking you lot, because I read all of your comments and I get a lot of my opinions sometimes formed by getting the feedback that you lot are giving me. So please tell me what you think. But from an injury perspective, I'm concerned. And I don't want our season to be derailed early on because we've picked up injuries in matches. And this could be really pushing it, but I'm going to put it out there that maybe don't mean all that much. We're 2-0 up already in this fixture. All we got to do is hold our nerve. If we grinded out a 0-0 win, well, it would be a win, wouldn't it? A 0-0 draw in this fixture, we'd go through. So with that in mind, this is my team sheet that you can see on the screen now. Fofana and Colwill at this moment in time don't make it in there because I don't think that they can manage the Thursdays and Sundays. Colwill would probably fare better at that, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't know if we need to risk them. So we've got the Sassy over there, Tosin Adarabioyo, who again was the best out of the defenders in the first leg of this game. Badiashile next to him, make or break time for Badiashile in my opinion, because he's been poor. He was poor in pre-season. He's been poor so far from what we've seen him. And when you've got a player like Trevor Chalobah who just always delivers and never lets you down, it really does baffle me as to why, if it is Enzo Maresca's decision, he sees Badiashile as player for the future and part of his plans, and he doesn't see Trevor Chalobah as that. I'm really not sure. It does make me doubt his judgment somewhat, but at the same time, I am on the Maresca train. We've got Renato Vega at left back. However, you might be looking at that midfield and thinking, defensively it looks a little bit lightweight, and that is why this team that you can see on screen now is how I would like my preferred lineup to look. Going with the system that we saw against Wolves, and obviously the system that we had seen in pre-season. Jorgensen, I do think that he should be playing in this game. I'm not too sure after Sunday's game whether I would have him in goal over Sanchez, because Sanchez had some good moments in Sunday's game against Wolves, and obviously played a big hand in one of our goals. So I'm very much open to Sanchez proving himself and proving me wrong, because I've been a big doubter of his, but I definitely would start Jorgensen in this competition. The more we see of them, the more clarity we're going to get over who is the better player. I think tossing Adarabioyo at the centre of that defence can be a good organiser of the two around him, and I've always said that Badiashile sort of needs his hand held at times. Now Renato Vega can come in, inverting into midfield and help Enzo Fernandez, I should say, out with some of the defensive duties that we know that Viega is going to be better than Enzo Fernandez at. And then we've got those two sort of floating eights that are just playing further forward, and that is João Felix and Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. Now, a lot of people have not really rated the performances so far of Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, but we do need to give him time, I really do think that. However, João Felix is a man that everyone rates the performances of, and I would give him his first start here. If he only gets 50, 60 minutes, I'm completely fine with that. I'd have Nkunku on the right. I'd have Neto on the left. He started against Sevette last time out, and then he only played one half against Wolves. I would start him in this one again. If we rotate at half time, it's not the end of the world. And then I would have Mark Gu up front. Now, Enzo Fernandez very clearly is only the only player that started against Wolves that makes it into that lineup for me. And I really do think it's slim pickings, isn't it? Because Caicedo came off injured. I think it was an ankle injury. Tell me if I'm wrong. Lavia, we're unsure when he's going to return to the starting lineup. Reece James could be back for this match. But if he did have a bit of an injury problem, do we rush him in and do we start him again? I'm not too sure. Is it as big a concern as it was in the past now with the emergence of Malo Gusto playing the sort of football that he plays? I'm not too sure it is, but either way, I think it would be a little bit risky to rush him back in. Now, if Lavia's exclusion was just precautionary and he is fine to play, then I would start him instead of Kiernan Dewsbury Hall. But it really does come down to the importance factor for me. And despite losing their opening two games, I honestly do think Crystal Palace are a good team, and I think they showed last season, especially in that run-in under Glasner, just how good they can be. And for that reason, Cucurella, Palmer, Madueke and Jackson all need to be starting that game against Crystal Palace. And for that exact reason, that's why I'm not starting them in this game. Can they get 30 minutes off the bench? I'd be more than happy to see it. Hopefully, this isn't happening, but if the game's not going our way, I no doubt think that Enzo Maresca will look to bring those boys off the bench and to be able to change the match as he did at half-time against Wolves when he brung Neto on for Mykhailo Mudryk, who again is obviously not in my starting lineup. Not a massive fan of Mykhailo Mudryk, to be honest. I'm just going to put it out there. I just don't think he's been great at all. And I just think, you see it even against Wolves. He'd burst past people with a bit of pace, and then he just has no idea what to do with the ball. So when I say not a massive fan of him, I don't mean of him as a person. I mean his playing style. But listen, like any player that's not playing well for Chelsea, I don't wish ill upon anyone. Hopefully they all prove me wrong. Hopefully it's me sat here with egg on my face. Now, a few of you lot told me that I gave Servette a bit too much credit last time round, and maybe I did. But something tells me that the Swiss atmosphere will play a big part in this game, and it will bring some heat. However, so did the atmosphere at Molineux, and that heat ended up with Wolves getting absolutely cooked. So I am going to be backing a Chelsea win in this one. Are we going to put 6 goals past them? I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think it will be that far in the direction of a thrashing. I think that this might be another nice little routine win here. I'll go with a Chelsea 2-0 win and all eyes on Stamford Bridge for Sunday's clash against Crystal Palace. I cannot wait for that one. When you look at the run of fixtures that Chelsea have now got, we have got a lot of games that realistically, in my opinion, we should be winning. We should be going in off of the high of the last result and thinking we can get a lot of points on the board here. You know, Chelsea have now got Palace next, Bournemouth after that, West Ham, Brighton, Forest until the 19th of October when they play Liverpool. I'm not saying any of those teams, including Brighton and West Ham, are knockover jobs, but they are teams that we should be winning against, you know. And if we can get ourselves into a strong position by Christmas sort of time, we're apparently going to find out the results of Man City's trial. And if they do have a points deduction, then that means that, let's say, for example, the top 4 spots, and the coefficient didn't go our way, let's say, for example, the top 4 spots are going to get you Champions League football this year. Well, if Man City get a points deduction, then that means whoever's lurking around 5th is going to be in the Champions League as well. So we need to accumulate wins. We need to get points on the board. We need to have a better start than we did under Mauricio Pochettino. And we've already scored more goals under Maresca in this Premier League season in 2 games than we did under Mauricio Pochettino in about 6 or 7 games. So I'm buzzing with it. People, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for all the love that I'm having on this channel. I absolutely love you lot. You're a bunch of fucking legends. I will see you all in the next one.